Okay guys, so I'm going to give you two simple rules that make buying your first property in the United States super simple. If you follow these two rules, you're going to go a long way. Obviously, this is a simplified version and there's several more rules that you can use to make your real estate purchase even more valuable. But at minimum, if you follow these two rules, then you will be ahead of the game. So here is the first rule, the 1% rule. If your property cannot rent for at least 1% of the purchase price, then one of those things is too high. What does that mean? If you are buying a $500,000 house, $500,000, but you cannot rent it each month for at least $5,000, that's a problem, which means that either the purchase price needs to come down or you need to find a way for you to rent it above $5,000 every month. Let's go again. If you are buying a $300,000 house, right, then the 1% of that is $3,000. If you cannot find a way to profit from all the units, sorry, not to profit, but to rent in total all of the units at least $3,000, then either you need to get that housing price down and negotiate down, or you need to find a way to find a property in that area that allows you to rent for over $3,000 a month. Now, I will tell you, there are creative methods that you can use to do this. I won't go into them here, but for example, I'll give you a few. You have house hacking. You can divide the apartment or the houses into bedrooms and rent by the bedroom for long-term people. You can put roommates in there. You can also do Airbnbs. You can also do Airbnbs for the entire unit or by bedroom. You can also lease your property to corporations or to insurance companies that will pay a higher premium if they are furnished. You can also rent to people who are remote workers, to travel nurses, etc. That increases the value of your property and what it can rent for, so that you can get that 1% rule. And on the flip side, you can decrease the purchase price of the property that you are about to buy by negotiating with the seller downwards. Obviously, if you are in a buyer's market, then you have more power to leverage down. You can ask them, for example, $50,000 off to take care of these repairs, etc. And then once you get into your negotiation and get those seller concessions, then you can make the numbers work. But again, if you cannot get it at the 1% rule or more for rent, then you can kiss that property goodbye. It's not worth it. That's the first rule. The second rule is to marry the price and to date the rate. So right now, when I'm recording this, interest rates are actually relatively high for the last 20 years, right? So then now, with interest rates being high, what you have is that a lot of people are scared to buy real estate property, which means that the prices that real estate properties are selling for right now are actually lower, because people who want to sell want to get rid of their properties, but no one's buying them because they're scared of the rates. But what ends up happening is that you can get a $500 million house for $420. You can get a $300,000 property for $200,000 or for $250. You can get these properties for sale, and that price that you buy the property at will never ever change. But guess what? The rates will change. Right now, interest rates are about 7%, 7.5%. But in 20 years, guess what? Those rates could come down to 4%. They could come down to 3%. They could come down to 2%. And then what happens is that you are able to refinance your property, which means that your cash flow will actually improve, right? Which means that if you can find a deal right now that works in these times, once you're able to refinance, your property value and cash flow position actually increase. And with that equity that you are able to refinance in a decade, in 2 decades, in 5 years, in 7 years, you'll actually be in a better financial position than not buying at all. So again, the rule is marry the price date the rate, because you can always refinance with the bank and the rate can change, especially once you go into decade number 2, into decade number 3. You can always refinance once interest rates come down. That's a very important rule. So then don't be deterred by high interest rates, because everybody will tell you now isn't a good time to buy, interest rates are too high. But remember, there's a couple of things that you need to be aware of, is that those people are talking about paying the entire mortgage, but it doesn't matter what the mortgage is. Remember, this is very important, because the way that you are buying is that you are buying a property that you can either live in for free, or will give you money every month through cash flow. So then even if the mortgage is $5,000, if the property is cash flowing $5,500, then it doesn't matter. For most people, a $5,000 mortgage, if they were paying that out of pocket from their salary, that's expensive. But for you, you're actually making money from that deal. So it doesn't matter what the mortgage is. It matters the 1% rule, and you are looking for the right deal. That's how you get rich from having your first property. Again, if you stick to these rules, then it'll go a long way in real estate. So remember, date the rate, marry the price, and make sure that you're hitting that 1% rule. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be talking about how to actually afford that down payment, which is actually a big deal for a lot of people, and it was a big deal for me too. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do that, which is a very big topic. So I'll see you in the next one.